Morning.
Hello.
Hello. This is
Morning.
one of our Meet the Team videos. We thought we'd introduce the team to our followers on LinkedIn and places like that. So starting with you, Gareth. You're the lucky one in the hot seat. So just first question really is, how did you get started in bidding?
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah, so my life in bidding started off in the summer of 2003, and it was actually the final placement of my graduate management program.
All right.
So I was dropped into a big multi-million pound PFI tender for a highways agency contract. It was the first kind of iteration of the sort of telecommunications upgrade on the motorway network. So what you're seeing now being rolled out with smart motorways and stuff, it was the first kind of version of that. So it was a consortium tender with about 5 or 6 partners, so construction, telecommunications, civil engineering, etc. And for some strange reason, they made me the bid coordinator for that bid, despite me having no bid experience, which meant I was put in charge of managing the production of the quality responses. And I think from memory, it was like there was 190 questions, 200 questions, something like that. Really challenging, thrown in at the deep end. Big team of people, 20 or 30 working on it. But it was good, it's a very supportive environment. I learned a lot. People, worked with me. And it was a really good experience for me. Learned about the culture of late night working, dodgy office takeaways, being in the office till gone midnight, especially in the week leading up to the bid submission. And also it was during the days of hard copy submission, so kind of no such thing as tender portals back in 2003.
Yeah.
And there was boxes of files that had to be effectively put on the back of a van and then taken to the client. So the printing element of that was just huge, in terms of the amount of paper that had to be produced. But yeah, we got the bid in, and I must have done something right, because I was offered a full-time job off the back of that with one of the consortium partners, which kind of then sort of kick-started my career effectively. And I spent the next 10 years in various sort of corporate and third sector roles doing bidding and sort of funding applications as well. And then really I've gone into consultancy. I went into consultancy about 2013 and formed Bid for Success last year with Adrian Corcoran, and we've been, effectively that's 15 months or so with Bid for Success up and running, which has been great. Really pleased with the progress we've made, the clients that we've built up, the success that we've delivered over that period, and also in terms of the wins and successes that we've delivered to our clients. It's been great. It's been very challenging due to COVID, obviously, but fortunately we've managed to sort of weather the worst of that, and we're going from strength to strength at the moment, which is fantastic. So
yeah, absolutely. I think maybe you had that baptism by fire at the beginning. It's made you a tough bid writer, so anything after that's going to seem relatively easy.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So is there one element of bid writing that you particularly enjoy, or that you think you're particularly good at?
Oh, these are good questions. So I used to very much enjoy the writing element of bids. I think, to be honest with you, I find that a little bit harder these days. I think it's because I've written probably hundreds of bids over the years.
Yeah.
An element of fatigue which creeps in over that period, especially when you're writing bids in sort of similar sectors all the time. It becomes a little bit repetitive, but I still quite enjoy it sometimes. People still tell me I'm good at it, which I'm very flattered about. But I think now I enjoy more the client management aspect of it.
Yeah.
Working with our clients, overseeing and managing our pipeline, resourcing, and basically I just enjoy helping clients to get good results, get wins, especially with our SMEs, smaller regional clients. helping them to build their forward order book. And there's nothing better than getting that phone call or email from someone who said, you know, we've just won this tender, it's fantastic, thanks for your help. That's what it's all about for me, especially during these very difficult circumstances with COVID. You know, without, you know, had quite a few successes with some of our regional SMEs, and I know with one or two of them it's allowed them to bring staff back in off furlough, stuff like that. It's that kind of stuff which, you know, is making a difference to people's livelihoods and also to their businesses, you know, and that for me is what it's all about, and that's what I enjoy doing. So
no, I agree with you there. I think when we're working with the SMEs, it's more tangible somehow, the difference that you make, because it's not just a load of zeros on a contract. You know that relates to people in jobs and that kind of thing. It's a really rewarding aspect of it, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so talking about SMEs, we're SME champions and we're trying to support more SMEs into bidding. So have you got a tip that you would give to a company that was maybe thinking about their first bid? Anything you would give?
Yeah, I've got a few, you know, few tips. I mean, when we were talking about this the other day, I was kind of thinking about what are my top tips, but I've got two really that I think are kind of interrelated, but I think I sort of slightly different. I think the first one I'd say is having a real attention to detail in everything that you do with bidding and tendering. It's really important. I think you've got to go through the tender instructions, make sure you have everything covered off, make sure you understand every single element of the response requirements, get somebody else to check your work, you know, just make sure there's no silly mistakes. You've got to have that rigor in terms of having that attention to detail, because at the moment you don't, you know, that's when things can go wrong and you can just drop marks. And I think sort of related to that point, it is, I tell people never to assume anything in bidding. I think that's so important. I think the moment you assume somebody else has done something for you, you think the client means this, when in fact they probably mean something different. You know, that's when things can end up, you know, being a bit of a disaster. And I've seen it happen a lot over the years. So I think what I'd say is, if at any point you sit there, you'll find yourself thinking, I assume that's been done, or I assume that this means that, you really got to stop and actually, right, okay, I need to check that. I need to make sure that is actually what I think. As I say, I've seen a number of tenders and bids over the years, things have gone really wrong just because of a really minor oversight. Somebody assumes someone else has done something, or, you know, it's so easily avoidable. So those would be my two kind of main tips. But I think finally, you know, building on that and talk in terms of the things we said about SMEs, you know, I say to SMEs to basically not be afraid to tender and to bid for contracts. You know, I think accessing public sector contracts in particular can seem quite daunting, especially for an SME the first time. But if you break it down, going back to those attention to detail things I've been talking about, you know, going through the tender response requirements, in most cases, you know, it's not as scary as it may seem. You have to just break those things down, and that's what we're here for at Bid for Success as well. We're here to step in and help people along their journey and getting into bidding for the first time. And the fact of the matter is that the government, you know, has committed itself to awarding more public sector contracts to SMEs, lowering the barriers to entry. You know, so there's a real push out there from the public sector in terms of the procurement bodies and the government to encourage SMEs to bid for things. So I think there's never been a better time in lots of respects.
And like you say, particularly with the economic climate the way it is at the moment, public sector tendering can bring those businesses the security that they need right now, because they've got financially stable clients who are going to pay them on time. So it's never been a better time, I don't think, for SMEs to get into bidding. And we do have a lot of resources. So if you go to YouTube, for example, and look for Bid for Success, you can see we've got a series of videos where we're demystifying the bidding process to help SMEs get into bidding. Obviously, you can always drop us a line if you need some help. We're happy to help. And now they've seen your face, Gareth, so they know what a nice, friendly, approachable chap they are. So they hopefully be more likely to get in touch. All right, that's lovely.
Okay, great.
We'll leave it there. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much.